enjoying this Elevate Your Value Summit as much as I am? Nod your head and say yes. Yes, thank you, Dr. Elizabeth Carter, for this opportunity to hear these dynamic and powerful speakers as they speak words of wisdom into our lives. We're going to take these words of wisdom and we're going to use it to elevate our value to the next level. My name is Karron Dodd, and guess what? I am your favorite Ruby Girl. Ruby Girl comes from Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above the price of a ruby. If I told you that Michael Jordan and your favorite Ruby Girl was competing in a basketball game against each other, who would you take your last dime, your last dollar, and bet will win that game? I hope you said Michael Jordan, because see, Michael Jordan has historically proven that he can dominate them basketball courts. It's easy to take everything you have and bet against somebody that you know is a winner. Let me ask you this question. Now, this question is deep. This question is thought-provoking. Could you bet for yourself the same way you bet on Michael Jordan? Listen, do you believe that you're a winner just like Michael Jordan is? If you said no, that's okay. That's why I'm here today, to teach you how to bet on yourself, how to believe, elevate, and transform yourself. There's a quote, and it simply says, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? Listen, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that what you have in you is what the world is waiting on. Every gift, every talent that we have is not for our use, for our benefit. It's for everybody's benefit. So when you don't believe in yourself, you end up missing out on opportunities. You end up believing that everything that happens to you is there to destroy you instead of making you better. Listen, we got to learn that we are winners too. Michael Jordan did not start off a winner. I'm quite sure the first time that he put a basketball in his hand, he did not make that basket. It took him practicing it over and over, throwing that ball, doing the same thing over and over before he got good at it. And sometimes it's going to take us doing things over and over again to be good at it. But you got to know that this is for you to do. Let me be real. Let me be transparent with you today. When I was recording this speech, I practiced on a Sunday, 5 hours. Couldn't do it. Just kept hitting, stop recording, start recording, stop and start, because I knew this speech had to be perfect. I knew this speech had to be the best thing that I could possibly do. I tried it again the day that it was due. Took me over 8 hours to get this speech just right, what you're seeing today. I stopped believing in myself. I said, am I really supposed to be giving this speech? I'm just a preacher, just a minister. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a motivational speaker. See, look, let me tell you something. Sometimes hard things come to make you realize who you really are and who you really not. I had to realize I am a speaker. I was created to do what I do. And because I was going to take 20, 30, 40 hours, but I didn't have 20, 30, 40 hours because this speech was due on the day that I made it. But guess what, y'all? It taught me something. It taught me to keep pushing forward. And look, I believed in myself. And because I believed in myself, I wouldn't quit. There's no quit in me. When you believe in yourself, you don't quit. You may stop, but then you start again, but you never give up. Because you know the value that God has placed in you. You know the gifts that have been placed in you. So you keep going. So let me ask you this question again. Are you ready to bet on yourself? Are you ready to believe, elevate, and transform yourself? Once you believe in yourself, you get this confidence that causes you to reset your mindset. You're no longer that victim that everything happens to me. Everything bad, it always happened to me. You become that victor and you start to speak positive. Everything that happens to me is working out for my good. I can do all things through Christ that strengthen me. I am above and not beneath. I am the head and not the tail. So even the way you speak begins to change, because why? You're ready to be elevated. You don't get elevated until you're prepared to be elevated. And like I said, first you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself like you believe that Michael Jordan was good at what he do. You got to believe that you are great at what you're about to do. And when elevation comes, don't be scared of it. Go for it. It doesn't matter if, like me, you got to sit there 8 hours to get the video right. You got to sit there 8 hours to sew the dress. You got to sit there 8 hours and pass the test or take the test 8 times. You do what you got to do so that you can be elevated. Because when you elevated, other people can move up to where you used to be. So when you stay stagnant in a place because you don't bet on yourself, because you don't invest in yourself, because you won't take a risk for yourself, you hold everybody that's coming up from moving. They're stuck because you're stuck. But it's time for you to elevate. Elevate your mind, elevate your thinking, elevate the things that you do in your life. It's time for you to bet on you. It's time for you to take as many resources as you can and start to make that dream happen. It's time for you to do what you need to do to go to the next level. You've been in that level so long that if you look down, you'll see your footprints engraved there. You see, you done sunk into the sand. You see the concrete that you're standing on has your footprint in it because you've been at that level for so long. It's time. It's time for you to bet on yourself. It's time for you to go on your bank account, invest in that coach. If you need a coach to get you elevated to the next level, pay that money for a coach. I used to be the type of person, I'm not paying somebody to sit and tell me what to do. But guess what? When I started investing and betting on myself, I started being elevated. I started speaking at platforms that I never would have taken the chance before to speak on. I started taking risks in my life because I started believing in myself. And so because I started believing in myself, I started elevating myself. I started educating myself. Look, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You know it's time for you to get more skills. You know it's time for you to hone up your talents. You know it's time for you to start walking in your gifts. But you have got comfortable at the level that you are at. It's time for you to be elevated. You know it, you feel it, you smell it in the wind, you feel it in the breeze. You know it's time for you to be elevated. Listen, belief will elevate you every time. Once you believe in yourself, you will do the things that show that you believe that you can do anything. So bet on yourself, believe in yourself, elevate. And once you believe and elevate, you're going to be transformed. You're going to be transformed. You're going to become this beautiful butterfly that you always imagined that you could be. You seen that these beautiful wings that you were supposed to have. Well, guess what? You will have what you believe. You will have what you have been elevated to. And then you will become transformed. That old person will be no more. This new person will bet on themselves. They will believe, they will elevate, and they will transform themselves. So once you transform, other people are going to see that you're different. Let me tell you, don't allow your past to keep you where you at. Let me tell you just quickly about my past. If you believe, she's just talking, she don't understand. Let me tell you, everybody got a story, and I got a story for you. When I was 3 years old, I was molested. When I was molested, it changed the whole trajectory of my life. It made me become somebody that God never ordained me to be. I felt stripped. I felt broken. At 3 years old, I didn't have confidence anymore. That pulled the life out of me. And I began to think I was a loser because something happened to me that I had no control over. Something happened to you that you had no control over. It was no way you could fix it. You still can't fix it. You just got to learn from it and move on. So for so many years, there was no way I was going to bet on me. I took jobs that I knew that I was overqualified for. Why? Because I didn't believe in me. Why? Because I didn't think elevation was for me. If elevation was for me, that would have never happened to me when I was 3 years old. I never would have been molested when I was 3. I never would have lost my mother to be murdered when I was 4. Things like that don't happen to people that are winners. Let me tell you, that's a lie. Things like that happen to people that make them winners. Because these things happened to me, I became a winner. I had to fight to believe in myself because this thing that happened to me at 3, at 33, at 43 was still holding me back. But when I released it, that's when I was able to be elevated. That's when I believed that whatever I tried to do, that I was going to be successful at. And once I started believing, got elevated, I became transformed. I became who you see here today speaking to you, God's Ruby girl. Like I said in the beginning, a Ruby girl is rare. It's hard to find a virtuous woman out there. But guess what? I know my value. I know my worth. Why? Because I started to bet on me. I started to invest on me. I started to get coaches. I started to do speak engagements. I started to come out of my comfort zone. Why? Because I was ready to be that winner that I know I should be. So I'm going to ask you today, are you ready to bet on you? Are you ready to believe that those dreams and those visions that you God put in you, that they can come to pass? Are you ready to believe that it's not you that does this, but it's going to be God that's going to help you to do this? Are you ready for elevation? Have you been prepared for it? Have you been working on your mindset? Have you been working on your finances? Have you been working on your skill set? What have you been working on to get ready for elevation? Elevation just don't happen. Elevation is a journey. And within that journey, you got to prepare for elevation. Because when you get elevated and you're not ready, guess what happens? You go down. And so I'm here to tell you, you don't have to go down. I want you to bet on yourself today. I want you to do something you never did. I want you to do something that you didn't believe that you could do, but you know that you have the talent and the gifts to do. I want you to know your worth. I want you to know your value. And ladies, I want you to become that Ruby girl just like I am. I want you to become that woman that's confident in Christ, that will bet on herself, that will take her last dime and take that class, that will take her last dime and do whatever she needs to do to make herself better. So I want you to bet on yourself. I want you to take that risk. I want you to take that chance. But first, I want you to talk to God about it because you want to make sure your move is a God move. So my name, once again, is Karron Dodd. And as always, I am your favorite Ruby girl. Where can you find me? Where can you connect with me? Really easy. Go to rubygirl.net. You can find my contact information. You can link with me in my social media. Only thing you got to do is go to rubygirl.net. So I am Karron, once again, your favorite Ruby girl, saying, bet on yourself. If you can bet on Michael Jordan, you can bet on yourself. You have historically been successful. You just need to believe so you can be elevated and transformed into who you're supposed to be.